Made it to the top, and it feels like it's a top. Top of the world, baby. Hey there, it's Ash, and I'm at the River Gorge, and today I'm trying to save you some heartache. I'm gonna give you 7 tips of what not to do while backpacking, mistakes that I've personally made. Let's go. I don't know about you, but I've been called hard-headed, and sometimes I just gotta bump my head and learn myself. But mistake number 1 that I made was I didn't know the difference between dispersed camping and what Ohio calls primitive camping, where you need to make a reservation. There can only be so many people on the campsite, and a slew of other rules that you have to follow. Now, dispersed camping in Kentucky there's just a few rules. Basically, you have to be 300 feet, I think, from the trail and waterways. And there's just a small amount of rules that you really need to follow as far as leave no trace, but we should be following that anyway. But if you don't follow this mistake, you can get fined. Mistake number 2, not protecting the piggies. Well, basically your feet. Take care of your feet. I learned this the hard way. All right, let's talk blisters. If you don't know what a hot spot is, a hot spot is when your foot just feels a little raw and funny from your shoe or sock rubbing up against it, and it feels like there's getting ready to be a blister coming on. If you get a hot spot, stop as soon as possible and apply something on it. You can use moleskin, or what I use is Leukotape type P. It's a really sticky medical tape. If you do have a blister already, stop as soon as possible. Get a safety pin out of your medical kit, which you should have already. Poke a small pinhole in it, get all the liquid out, and then put, if you can, an alcohol swab, and then place some of this Leukotape on it. Now, I got this off of Amazon for, I think, $10, and it was a big roll, and it should be enough to last you for your whole life, basically. But blisters have been my number 1 enemy as far as backpacking goes. The right shoes. The first time I went backpacking, I was wearing a pair of hiking boots, because that's what everyone wears, right? Hiking boots. It even says it in the name, hiking boots. Wrong. What do you usually wear? What's your everyday shoe? If you're gonna buy something special for backpacking and hiking, wear something similar to what you usually wear. If you usually wear low top, gym shoes, wear something similar to that. What I switched to was a trail runner. My current pair of trail runners are Ultras. Now, Ultras have a flat type of feel to them. They don't have much of an arch. So if you have an arch in your foot, most of these shoes probably won't be for you. Also, they have a really wide toe box. Gives your foot room to move around. Also, I thought people were crazy when they told me to buy a half a size or a size bigger than what I usually wear. I came to find out that that's a great idea, because the more you walk, when you get to walking miles and miles, your feet do swell. And what do they need? Room. Imagine that. They need room. It helped. No more blisters. They have room to move around. The moisture can escape. And you have more of a natural feel with the flat foot. I know it seems counterintuitive. The correct pair of shoes. Now what do? We need to learn how to lace our shoes. Yeah, no, we're not 2-3 years old anymore learning how to tie our shoes. However, there is and a special hole at the very top of your shoe that is used for something called lace locking. Say it with me, lace locking. Do it. This is the way it works. Place your shoe all the way to the top and leave the last hole open. Then you take the shoestring from whatever side it is and go into the same side, the hole at the top. And then when you put your foot in, you take your shoestring and you put it through this. Take your other shoestring and you put it through this. And that locks your ankle in. And believe it or not, you can tell immediately. So I think Ultra wants us to look super nerdy, but you know what? They got it right. Function. They put a piece of Velcro on the back of their shoe. What's that for? It's for a gator. Gators keep rocks and other things from falling down in your shoe when you're walking. When I'm walking several miles with a pack, I don't want to have to stop every 10 feet to shake my shoes out. Now, these gaiters from REI, and you put it on your foot. This part right here locks onto your front shoelace. These go on the bottom. And I modified mine because they didn't have Velcro on them. I took some Gorilla Glue and some Velcro on each side, hook and loop. And what that does is that locks on the Velcro on the shoe. Tighten this up. And you got no rocks in your shoes. Very simple solution. Good thought, Ultra. Right, so underneath the shoes and the gaiters, we gotta have socks, right? Well, we don't wanna wear cotton. Everybody knows that. I wear merino wool socks. I started with some smart wool socks and I really like those. And what I ended up going to was merino wool and gingy socks. Now these are toe socks. So what they do is they prevent each toe from rubbing the next one, and that really, really helps prevent blisters. Now, when you got these in an Ultra shoe, which has a wide toe box, you got no rubbing up against anything. And it really, really works, believe it or not. Now, some people use these as a liner and then use another sock on top of it, sometimes a smart wool, or sometimes they use these darn tough Vermont socks, which I use for my camp socks. And I'll hike in them if I have to. If it gets really cold, I'll wear the Ingingy and then the darn tough on top of them. But I really like merino wool. Good morning. Just woke up Saturday morning and it's raining a little bit, and I slept really well last night. But as soon as I open my eyes and look outside, I realize why I do this. Because I got here late last night and kind of hiked in the dark for an hour or so into the spot that I wanted to camp at. And it is beautiful. Number 3, mistakes that I've made personally through experience is not pitching my tarp or tent correctly. Bad weather. It sets in sometimes without notice. But when we pick our spot that we're gonna pitch our tent or tarp, we need to pick the correct spot. Number 1, look up. They call them widow makers for a reason. Is there a branch up there that could fall, hit you in the head in your sleep, and end you, put you home in a box? We don't want that. We look up, we We don't see anything that looks like it's gonna fall. If you're using a tent, look for a flat spot with no sharp objects or anything like that. In my case this time, I used a tarp, but I try to judge which way the wind is coming from, and I try to pitch my tarp, the low end, facing the wind. Now, this tarp, the way it is made, it's made with a curve. It's made with another curve and another curve. Those are for a reason. They help the tarp stretch. Now, depending on which way the wind's coming from, you can move your lines. Every case is not the same. Let me say that again. Every case or instance is not the same, so different weather, different pitch. We want it taut, tight. We want it tight. Wind will rip your stakes right out of the ground. Now, I've got maybe 10 different kinds of stakes. What kind of stakes do I use? Well, I live in a place where the dirt is pretty good. So I use the mini groundhogs by MRS, and then I also like the big Agnes stakes, and I'm not sure what the exact name of those are, but they look like an I-beam. Those are really nice, right next to the groundhogs. But we want to pitch our tarp in our tent correctly in case inclement weather comes in anytime. We don't want to get wet. We don't want to get our down wet. That's what protects us from the weather and freezing and dying. So, pitch your tent or your tarp before you come out. Learn how to do it. Learn which ways it can go, which ways the guy lines can go. Have the guy lines in your kit, bring them. Don't try to lighten your pack. It's just a little bit of cordage. It's not gonna hurt your back. You'll be fine. You might need it. Bring stakes, bring enough, and learn how to do it correctly. Number 4, plan your trip. Don't just go by the seat of your pants. I've done it. I get out, I start hiking. I don't know where to go. I don't know where the camping spots are. So I end up, it starts to get dark and I'm scrambling, looking for a spot to camp. And everything ends up going bad. When that happens, that's the worst. So, plan your trip, have navigation, whether it's a map and paper, it's downloaded as a PDF on your phone, you have an app, whatever the case is, plan it out and try to stick to a schedule. Number 5, hike your own hike. 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 Realize that backpacking and bushcrafting are different things. Dave Canterbury, I respect you. I love everything you do. But when people come into the woods, they think that they're doing your thing. It's not always that. Survival, yes, it'd be nice to have all the 5 C's and 10 C's and all that, but 2 is 1 is none. That doesn't apply here. Also, so that's one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum is ultra light, trying to get your base weight under 10 pounds. Who made up the number 10? I would like to find this person and tell them they are stupid. Stupid. Say it again, stupid. If I am a thru hiker on the AT and I am hiking for 6 months straight yes, I'm gonna try to get to as close to 10 pounds as possible. But if I'm doing a weekend with my buddies, 3 miles a day, setting up camp, hanging out, doing a bonfire, I don't need to be 10 pounds. I can do what I can carry for that amount of mileage. So, each trip is different. Each trip is different. Understand that you should pack according to what is going to happen for the trip. Hike your own hike. Number 6 mistake that I've made since I started backpacking. Listen to anything that Bryce Newbold said. I said what I said. Number 7. The 7th mistake that I made, and the most important one, was that I almost forgot why I do this in the first place. I tried to get caught up in the gear, in the miles, and trying to get everything perfect. All the while, I forgot to take a look around. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, come on. Don't forget why you do it. The feeling you get when you get to the top, summit, when you finally complete something that you've been wanting to do for so long. These are the moments we live for. It's not the gear. It's not trying to get everything right. What we remember. It's all about. It's not about the gear. It's about the peace and the serenity that I get. It makes it all worth it. Here's the thing though, I can get better, and we can get better together. This is Off the Beaten Path with Ash.